She is very difficult to officiate because of all of the contact that's happening around her all of the time. That being said, I was in contact with a number of WNBA coaches yesterday about this topic of the officiating in the WNBA.
Rebecca Lobo's remarks on Caitlin Clark and the referees are so shocking that the WNBA executives can no longer ignore them. Because even if we just witnessed the most spectacular illustration of the Caitlin Clark effect after the WNBA's poor officiating in the Fever Sun game, the same officiating has the power to ruin the WNBA entirely. Rebecca, a WNBA legend, just sounded the alarm. This argument is not only logical. She revealed what several WNBA players are saying behind closed doors regarding the officiating situation. If we've learned anything, it's that the WNBA has learned absolutely nothing about how to handle its golden goose, Caitlin Clark. The league won't like this, but it had to be said. Let's look at Rebecca's comments and the developing Fever narrative, which is both excellent news in many ways and raises serious concerns about the WNBA's actions. But first, have fun with this video. Every liking is equivalent to a spare, as the referee's pocket whistle is clearly not being used. For more information about Caitlin Clark and Fever, don't forget to subscribe. Let's go back a bit since the WNBA needs a refresher. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 85% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So, did you subscribe already? Great. Thank you so much for your support. Now, back to the video.
The nerve, the second-year player clearing out that side of the floor, shooting on Stewie, and then watch the reaction with one another. Stewie's laughing.
Caitlin Clark's amazing comeback was only a few games ago. She scored 25 points in the first half, including 3 logo bombs in 38 seconds. It was an exciting stretch that also served to remind supporters of what they were missing. Everyone in the league was reminded of who is actually in charge.
And Cunningham is down behind the play, but they've got Caitlin Clark. Two players with incredible Clark, another long three. She's back!
The statement of statements was the game that made everything clear. The WNBA has more assets than just Caitlin Clark. It is up to her. When she missed those 5 games, it wasn't just an error. They were an exposé. There were less viewers. The level of social engagement fell. The level of interest in the country remained unchanged. Every WNBA story now seemed like background noise without Caitlin.
But here we go with Caitlin Clark, singularly, being missing for the time she was gone, and ratings tanking, 50% in some cases. And then also she comes back and reminds everyone how spectacular she is, and everybody's talking about the WNBA. So if you needed to sort of have it affirmed to you that it is just her, that the singularity of her is what we are talking about, and her star power, you got it with this absence and then the way she came back.
Caitlin Clark's return helped the WNBA as a whole after weeks of declining ratings and mounting pressure. With a high audience of 2.8 million, their game against the Liberty was one of the most watched WNBA broadcasts ever. In contrast, 2.5 million people watched the NHL Stanley Cup Finals on average. While it's true that basketball and hockey aren't quite comparable, Caitlin Clark's recent victory in the championship round of a century-old men's sports league is abnormal. Although WNBA leadership seems to have completely missed this, a subject we'll address in a moment, Olympic gold medalist, Basketball Hall of Famer, and perhaps ESPN's most poised voice in the room, Rebecca Lobo, has not disregarded the significance of this. Before I get to her comments about the refs, have a look at her description of how seismic Clark's comeback was.
Rebecca, tell me, what does Clark's return mean for the WNBA?
Well, I mean, it means a lot more people are paying attention once again. We know how much Caitlin drives ratings. We know how much Caitlin drives attention on the WNBA. And for her to come back and do it in that way was just ridiculous.
Pay attention to what Rebecca Lobo said. People are observing once more. It's a little phrase, yet it says a lot. Because if they start watching again, it means they have quit. And we all know exactly when it happened. When Caitlin Clark wasn't present. Lobo didn't stop there. She went on to explain why fans came back as soon as Clark returned.
I'm sitting there at the end of the first quarter when she had that 38-second stretch where she drained deep three after deep three after deep three. I was just sitting there thinking, I've been around this league since 1997. I have never seen that in a WNBA game. Have we seen players go on runs? Of course we have, but not like that. Not where a couple of the three-pointers are from 30-plus feet. It was an exhibition by her.
That's the issue. These weren't your usual long twos or deep threes. These were logo bombs from a different zip code. Few, if any, athletes are able to accomplish that frequently and with such ease, which is why fans watch. Even Natasha Cloud, who hasn't shown any consideration for Caitlyn's supporters. Recognizing the reality is necessary. You must defend her as soon as she crosses the middle. This is not normal. Please ask Rebecca.
It was just ridiculous. It's not often that you're watching the WNBA or that I'm watching it and I'm like, wow, I've just never seen this before.
Everything that has been happening, not just since Caitlyn's return, but actually the entire prior season and this one as well, becomes really concerning because we're no longer just talking about missed calls or tough defense. We're talking about a trend that has become so obvious that even seasoned WNBA insiders like Rebecca Lobo are speaking up. Additionally, everyone in the league should have been chilled by the game against the Sun. For some reason, neither JCS Sheldon nor Marina Maberry were sent off despite effectively tagging Caitlin Clark mid-aim with a body check to the court and a claw to the face. I'm not lying when I say that Caitlin and JC were chirping a little earlier. She was, but making fun of someone doesn't give you the right to harm them. It is unrealistic to expect the league to become as successful as WWE if it is merely knocked flat. Even the commentators were shocked. They could hear it in their voices. They expected to be expelled. The league as a whole responded in the same way. What happened shocked fans, coaches, analysts, and even players.
This angle is wild, folks. There's the eye gouge. Watch Maberry. Boom! I mean, come on.
Caitlyn's face claw and shove, of course, went viral and became the talk of the town, but it wasn't an isolated incident of chaos. The tension that had been developing during the entire game was being ignored by the refs.
Hey, we would have been crashing out, RT.
Courtney, if somebody ever tackles you like that,
Nobody would ever tackle me like that. They would play with Bridget like that, and then we would have to like take it up there.
okay.
You see what I'm saying?
But I'm just saying.
Nobody would ever play with me like
If
that.
that ever happened, you better crash out behind me, because I'm crashing out behind you.
T,
We can share the same jail cell.
And after boiling, the chippiness quickly boiled. After the game, Stephanie White was naturally incensed. It was clear from her body language even before she spoke. She sat down, took a deep breath, and let it all out.
This is JC Sheldon right here with an entire handful of Caitlin Clark's shoulder and bicep, and she's twisting it. Okay? I mean, this is wild. Here's the zoomed out look, the snapshot. I mean, this league does not have control of its players.
That's the worst way to make fun of the refs without naming them. While the rest of us are getting better, you're not. It's severe and goes right to the core of what many players, coaches, and fans have been going through. The issue is that this didn't start with the Sun game. It has been expanding all season long. The harsh and unprotective handling of players like Caitlin Clark, the uneven officiating, and the missed calls.
You know, the game has changed so much. Players are faster, they're better, they're bigger, they're stronger. They're as good as they've ever been. They're as athletic as they've ever been. The game is fast now. Things are happening quickly. Everybody's getting better, except the officials.
From the start of the season, the Fever's lack of calls was apparent, but during their 90-88 loss against the Liberty, it reached a breaking point. A game that turned into a hot potato for players and fans alike. The officiating that night appeared to be prejudiced. New York was being called for ticky-tack fouls while Indiana was unable to buy a whistle. The difference at the free throw line was evident as the Liberty accumulated tries and the Fever barely made it to the stripe. But what truly incensed folks were the questionable calls, or lack thereof, in the final moments. The worst occurred at the very end. Caitlin Clark was not even able to attempt a shot on the final possession after Natasha Cloud flagrantly fouled her. As playback after replay exposed it, social media went crazy. It was condemned by analysts. Supporters were furious. She went off with Stephanie White. Ironically, instead of screaming at the referees after the Sun game, she was punished for this. It appeared as though the league was quietly admitting its errors. As though they knew it was unreasonable. In all honesty, they should admit it. Because before we even talk about what Rebecca Lobo said, which is insightful and actually dangerous for the league, we need to talk about the growing discontent within the WNBA.
What was that play? Oh my god, this is rigged. This is rigged. She got yanked. Foul on her hip. That's a hack. That's a hack. That's a hack. Oh my god, they hacked the one upon her and they hacked Caitlin Clark. They are both hacks. They are both hacks. They hacked Fever twice, and then there was a phantom foul called on Sabrina Ionescu.
Instead than disregarding players' complaints about hard play, the officials openly laugh at them. Let's go back to Rebecca Lobo and how Caitlin Clark is affected by all of this. Players are laughing and saying things like, "I'm going to get hurt if this keeps up." The conclusion is as follows. If Caitlin loses, the game is over. Everyone knows about it. The league, the players, the networks, and the fans, whether they will admit it or not. Rebecca, to her credit, didn't sugarcoat anything either. She said what needed to be said in the most delicate way possible. But if you listen to what she says, it's far more concerning than you might think.
I thought she got fouled. I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. A minus 31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing, that it doesn't go both ways, or it hasn't gone both ways.
Have you grasped what she just said? She didn't just say that some coaches are concerned. All of them, she remarked. Every coach she has spoken to says that the officiating is a big problem. Things get considerably worse at this point. Because if every coach agrees that the officials have lost control, they are forced to make changes. They will be subject to a new set of regulations. It becomes dangerous when the silent one says, "We will defend our players if the referees won't."
The second time where I'm attacking, it's very physical. I'm saying something to the ref, watch my landing space, watch physicality. I get laughed at, and it ends in my ankle getting turned. The same thing happened in Dallas, a flagrant that wasn't called. Same thing happened here. So my ankle is hanging in there, but it's starting to get very frustrating. I'm averaging less than 2 free throws a game, and I drive, I'm physical. I'm not someone who's avoiding contact. So I just hope that the safety of players starts to become a priority versus the ego of refs.
That's all. It's like encouraging cars to go as fast as they want since there is no highway patrol and you'll be left behind if you don't speed, even if it's risky. Right now, the WNBA is doing precisely that. By refusing to raise officiating standards, they're creating an environment where players are forced to be more aggressive, even if it's risky, because it's about survival. They also know that the referees won't step in. We've already seen the outcome. The clear fouls against Caitlin Clark, the cheap shots, the body checks, and the coaches and fans mounting irritation. And soon, when it happens again, it starts to feel more like a message rather than an oversight. The league seems to be suggesting that guarding Caitlin Clark is open season.
She is very difficult to officiate because of all of the contact that's happening around her all of the time. That being said, I was in contact with a number of WNBA coaches yesterday about this topic of the officiating in the WNBA, and all of them said it needs to get better. Specifically, the consistency, not only from one game to the next, but the consistency within a game.
And you see, I get it. Kathy Angel-Burt wants rivalries. She actually said in an interview that players shouldn't treat each other with kindness. And in theory, that's acceptable. Rivalries are lucrative. There might be a small edge to the game. But when it comes to Caitlin Clark, the WNBA doesn't need fake drama and dirty fouls. Therefore, this is a tremendous mistake. They already have the most talked about, watched, and marketable player in women's sports. And we have the perfect example of why.
One coach told me, we tell our players to be as physical as they can possibly be for 40 minutes because we know for 38 of them, they're pretty much going to get away with it. So I think everybody would like to see a tighter whistle and a little bit more freedom of movement.
Everyone talks about the ratings when Caitlin Clark is on the court instead of off. We know that story. But Sophie Cunningham's recent experience might be the most undervalued proof of the Caitlin Clark effect's actual strength thus far.
And like, they just kept shoving Caitlin. They're like, well, they can't just keep calling fouls. I'm like, they're literally just running around hacking her. The referees have made it like a point that this is how you beat the fever. You hack them. You don't even, it's not being physical. You just hack them. Because the referees are going to allow them be hacked. Late in the game with the fever, hack them. Not being physical, hack them. Don't go for the ball, hack them.
Sophie became well known right away after defending Caitlin. Over 1 million people followed her on different media. The unwavering love of Caitlin's followers, her TikTok remarks, and their appreciation for her independence. Such as, I guess I'm watching the WNBA now. The issue is that I really need a Cunningham jersey. It's not just about Sophie. This relates to a blueprint. Just as we have a clear example of the ratings drop in the absence of Caitlin, we also have a wonderful example of what happens when you support her. Fans follow players who back Caitlin. They help their teams. They start watching the WNBA. Although it normally happens slowly, it might happen suddenly. And none of that is feasible without Caitlin on the court. So share your thoughts about the officials or the rough play. There must be a line.
That's a flagrant foul. It's a hard foul.
I'm not against athletes making personal contact with Caitlin Clark. She is strong. She can tolerate interaction and is not asking for particular treatment. But following her eyes like JCS Sheldon did is excessive. It is unrelated to defense. That has to do with trying to hurt someone. And that kind of negligence doesn't just put Caitlin in danger when the target is the league's face, the person who generates media attention, ticket sales, viewership, and merchandise. It jeopardizes the league's future. It is not only dangerous but also symbolically and physically naive. Candace Parker, a WNBA legend, said it best.
As we expected, Sophie Cunningham has reached 1 million followers. 1 million followers. Sophie Cunningham on TikTok has gained, if I'm not mistaken, I think she has gained nearly 900,000 followers. It's at least 700,000. Sophie Cunningham on TikTok now has 1 million followers.
She's not asking players to relax. She's just saying what any wise veteran would say. This is a business. Everyone's income benefits from Caitlin. Protecting her is not motivated by favoritism. Caitlin Clark is the driving force behind this rise, whether some players like it or not, thus it's critical to protect the investment. And if she collapses again, it will affect everyone.
The Indiana Fever, they need to go hockey, and let me explain this. The great Wayne Gretzky, the greatest hockey player in my lifetime, okay, all respect due to Gordie Howe and everyone else, but they had a rule in the National Hockey League, and I've heard quotes where defensemen have said, they were asked, hey, how come you don't nail Gretzky along the boards? I said, no, we'll hit him. But they say, we'll never take a cheap shot, we'll never take anything unnecessary or anything too far, because we understand his importance to the league, and part of our paycheck we owe to him.
Kathy is right. Caitlin Clark is not the only player who will shape the WNBA's future. She has the key to the future. Furthermore, if the league can't figure out how to protect its most valuable asset from negligent fouls, inconsistent officiating, and narrow-minded jealousy, they don't deserve what she gives. Because this is what occurs when you support Caitlin Clark. The number of viewers rises. Shirts sell out, new fans arrive, and the environment benefits overall. Media, teams, athletes, and sponsors. Rebecca Lobo did say what needed to be said, but is anyone listening at this point? Because losing Caitlin might cost the WNBA more than just a game the next time. To ensure you don't miss anything, please leave your opinions in the comments box, subscribe, and turn on all notifications. Once you click the video on the screen, we'll see you in the next one.